Hello everyone, good morning students. Today we come to our topic, that is lesson number 4, metals and non-metals. Students, what are metals? Every day you come in contact with so many materials which are present at your home and which are made up of metals. How can we understand that some objects are metals and some objects are non-metals? What are the criteria? How can we conclude that some materials are metals and some materials are non-metals? Okay. First of all, we take the topic that is metals. Students, metals are the substances which are having so many physical properties, like the physical properties of metals. First physical property of metal, that is its physical state. Its physical state. Any object or any material we use every day, that material they are of three types. Their states are of three types only. You know, solid, liquid and gases. But mostly as we are going to learn this metal, mostly these metals they are at solid state at room temperature. Only the exceptional case is mercury. Only the exceptional case is mercury. Okay, silver, gold, platinum, mercury, sodium, potassium, these are some of the metals in everyday life. But I have given the example of mercury because this mercury, although it is a metal, but it is not remain solid at room temperature. It is one of the exceptional case for the metal because it becomes liquid at room temperature. You might have seen the clinical thermometer. In that clinical thermometer, this mercury is used. Second physical property, that is hardness. That is hardness of the metal. Mostly the metals, you know that iron is also a metal. You know that potassium is also a metal. Sodium is also a metal. Silver, gold, platinum, so many examples given in your book that are the metals. Especially some metals, for example iron, it is hard in nature, but some exceptional cases are also there. For example, this potassium and this sodium. Potassium and sodium, these are the soft metals. This is the formula for potassium and this is the symbol or the formula for sodium. These are the exceptional case of the metals because they are the soft metal. That metals are so soft that we can cut with a knife. We can cut with a knife. That metals are so soft, that are potassium and sodium. Third property is of luster. You have seen the metals like silver. You have seen the metals gold. These metals are used for making the jewelries because they are having the property of luster. Luster means shining. The shining property of the substance is called as lustrous property, and this is one of the physical property of the metal. For example, silver and gold. But this property is not contained in this potassium and sodium. These are the dangerous or the poisonous metals. Okay, we cannot use for making jewelry. We use only silver and gold for making the ornaments. Next property, that is ductility. What is ductility? You have seen a copper wire at your home. You have seen an aluminium wire. So all these wires, for example, copper wire, aluminium wire, silver foil you have seen at your home. So these are made from the metals copper, aluminium, silver, all these are the metals. The The property by which any metal is converted into a thin wire, it can be converted into a thin wire. That property is called as ductility. Fifth property is called as malleability. What is the meaning of this malleability? The property of any substance. For example, this aluminium. If we hammer the sheet of this aluminium, it is converted into a thin sheet. So if any metal, for example iron, for example copper, for example aluminium, for example silver and gold, all these metals are such that they can be converted into a thin sheet. They can be converted into a thin sheet. So they are having the property of malleability. And if they convert into a thin wire, then it is called as ductility. Okay, so these are the basic properties of the metal. Again, which is the important property? That is property number 6, that is the conductivity. That is the conductivity. Conductivity means all the metals, they are the good conductor of electricity. Okay, not electricity, not only electricity, but they are the good conductors of heat also. At your home, you have seen the cooking vessels. The cooking vessel might be steel, might be copper, aluminium. All these, they can carry the heat. They can conduct the heat very easily, as well as they are the good conductor of electricity. These are the properties. One more property, that is sonority or sonorous. The metals, if they struck by force, by applying a force, they can produce a sound. So the property of producing a sound by any of the metal, that property is called as sonority of the metals. By using all these physical property, these are the only physical property of the metals. By observing all this property, that is physical state, hardness, lustrous, ductility, malleability, electricity, heat conductivity, sonority, we can say that the substance, the given substance or the observable substance is metal or non-metal. Okay. But in physical property, certain exceptional cases are also there. So many times we get confused. Whether the material is metal or not, because just I have said that all metals are solid, but now again I told that mercury is not solid. I told that all metals are solid at room temperature. I told that all metals are good malleability, they are having the lustrous property, but all the metals, they are not physically same. We cannot classify the metals on the basis of this physical property. So what we have to do? We have to apply the chemical properties. We have to see the chemical properties of metals. In your book, some chemical properties of metal is given, which we can identify. By using that chemical property, we can easily now identify that what are the metals and what are the non-metals. So the first chemical property which is given in your book, that is reaction of metal with air. Reaction of metal with air. Students, we all know that air contains the gas, that is oxygen. In air, there is presence of gas, that is oxygen. So many metals we know. We take one of the example, that is, suppose we take the magnesium. Okay, this is a symbol of the magnesium. If any metal, any of the metal you can consider, if it come in contact with air, this means oxygen is present. If any metal it come in contact with oxygen, it form the metal oxide. It form the metal oxide. For example, if we take sodium as a metal, if we take sodium as a metal, it come in contact with oxygen, so it form the metal oxide, that is sodium oxide. Another example which we can take, that is magnesium. If this magnesium again come in contact with this oxygen, it gives magnesium oxide. We can write so many examples, we can solve this equation, but before that I am going to tell you that this sodium is a corrosive substance. This is a corrosive metal. When it come in contact with air or oxygen, it catches fire. That's why we have to keep this sodium in kerosene. We have to put this sodium in the bottle of kerosene because it is highly corrosive substance, it is highly corrosive metal, and if it come in contact with the air, it form the sodium oxide which easily catches fire. Okay, so this metal is not apply for our laboratory purpose. This metal is kept under the bottle of kerosene. We can take so many examples. Magnesium is also a metal. Magnesium, when it come in contact with oxygen, it form the magnesium oxide. Similarly, you can say aluminium. Similarly, you can say calcium. Any of iron also. Iron also. Iron, if it come in contact with oxygen, it form the iron oxide. So this is the first chemical property of the metal, that it react with air and it form the metal oxide. Second property, second property of the metal, that is reaction of metal with water. First we have seen the reaction of metal with air. Now we will see the reaction of metal with water. What will happen? Suppose we take any of the metal, for example we have taken magnesium, or we can take calcium also, any of the metal. If this metal they come in contact with water, they form the hydroxides. They form the hydroxide as well as hydrogen gas. As well as there is formation of hydrogen gas. Okay, so this is our second chemical property. Any of the metal, if it come in contact with air, so it form the hydroxide. Also there is a evolution of hydrogen gas. Which oxide is formed here? If magnesium come in contact with water, it form the magnesium hydroxide. If calcium comes in contact with water, it form the calcium hydroxide. If iron come in contact with water, it becomes the iron hydroxide. So all these types of hydroxide are formed with the evolution of hydrogen. This is the second chemical property of the metal. Third chemical property of the metal, that reaction of metal with acid. Again, any metal, if they come in contact with acid, they also form the salts. For example, if we take the sodium metal, that is the formula is Na, that is sodium. If it come in contact with any of the acid, it form the metallic salt. For example, if we take sodium as a metal, it react with any of the acid. For example, this sodium react with hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid. Then it forms the metal salt, that is sodium chloride. sodium chloride. Also there is a evolution of gas, that is hydrogen gas. Similarly we can take any of the example. If we put instead of this sodium, if we take the magnesium here, it come in contact with acid, that is magnesium salt, that is magnesium chloride. If we put the calcium is there, so it form the calcium chloride. Any of the metal we can substitute here, and when it come in contact with the acid, it produces salt as well as with the evolution of hydrogen gas. These are the chemical properties of the metal. In this way you can differentiate how to identify the metals. Thank you students.